traffic and build my brand. So if I don't know the etiquette of the platform, then I'm not going to be able to engage thought leaders. I'm not going to leverage my brand or market. So I know I'm being selfish, but it's going to be the same thing as if I engage a thought leader who's not involved in business, but a thought leader is involved in the environment or in social development. I have to understand the platform and their etiquette. That's my thoughts.
Raul has his hand up and he would like to say something.
I wasn't finished.
Thank you, moderator. Of course. Raul wants to say something.
I'm going to basically challenge everybody, because the truth is,
We'll take you on.
the problem with leadership, it turns out to be the leader or the self-appointed leader in many of the social media platforms, and particularly Twitter is very easy for that, is the one who speaks the loudest or who tweets
Not
the most.
necessarily. Not necessarily.
I would say. The leaders are the people that everyone is listening to, and you can do that by saying things that are extremely wise to the right people who will pass that along, or you can do it by saying things extremely loudly very often.
Exactly. And I don't necessarily know. Nothing to you.
It's an attraction factor, though. It's who resonates with that. People are going to unfollow you if you're loud and don't like your message.
That's true.
And then for some people, it's like a train wreck. Like they're really noisy, but you can't help but listen. Right?
But what you're saying, what you're saying is that it's the loudest ones or the noisiest ones or the most out there ones, right? That's your kind of point, right? So would you consider Ashton a leader? I wouldn't.
No.
I think he's a dickhead. I mean, I'm sure he's a lovely guy, but not so much. So, but he's got 1.5 million followers. So he's freaking noisy and people listen to him. That doesn't make him a leader. So when you're talking about an etiquette perspective, leaders are intelligent. They, for the most part, look at you, you're debating now.
I have a point
He was
to that too.
Okay, for the most part, maybe it's idealistic, but for the most part, we want our leaders to be intelligent. And I'm not going into government and all that shit, because that's...
Well, there is also the dichotomy of what we want
and
from
what
our
there
social
is.
environment. and what
But
there
the
is.
ones that I'm talking about, look, it's Ashton.
You heard it. Wow.
Bastard!
Who told him? Who told him?
He heard you.
We did. I have that power. No, my point is, I guess, that it's not always the loudest, it's not always the noisiest, it's not always... There's leaders within smaller circles who are that. I mean, in my circle, I'm convinced that I'm a leader. Doesn't mean I am. I just have a high opinion of myself.
As someone who's on the edges of that, I can confirm that.
Exactly. Well, but I don't think I
self-perception is in line
My
with the
self-perception
average.
is, well, I don't, yeah.
And I think
I
that
appreciate that, but
stealing a quote from John Maxwell, and some of my clients ask me, so what do I need to know to be a leader, like in social media? And I go, read this book. It's called Developing the Leader Within You by John Maxwell, which was written well before the internet or became popular, or social media, because they're engagement skills. But he's got a great part in his book called Leading from the Center of the Crowd. And it's about becoming that vibrant person who contributes, who equips and enables people. And then you don't get to call yourself guru or expert or specialist. What happens is other people say specialist, guru, expert. And that's how you become that. And I think that that's a really interesting way, is that through social media, if you get that part of the etiquette, which is a leadership etiquette, it's contribution, connection, community, and you don't declare yourself that, but on your bio, people will vote you to the front. Now, there's some self-appointed promoters, but you know what, those are short-term. I think that we get bothered by those people, but they get called out, or they fizzle out, or they cash out. And I think that's just what occurs in most cases.
So then is the leader the one that sticks around the longest?
No, I think it has to do with goals. And I think it has to do with ROI as well. Like I did the seminar yesterday for CMA, and I went through 28 types of return on investment you can get from being involved in the community. One of them is revenue, one of them is short-term, long-term revenue, but some of it's environmental impact, some of it's capacity building, some of it's network building. I guess as a leader, your question is what's your goal when you start? And I think that's how you define whether it's successful, right?
Well, speaking in terms of as someone who's written several university papers on etiquette, I have to say that no matter what the platform, and every new village, Gilligan's Island was a new social media platform. The thing about social media is it's social, and human nature doesn't change. You can express yourself in different ways, which favors certain kinds of expression in certain venues, but human nature doesn't change. And the first people into any little corral, onto any little Gilligan's Island, the people with the strongest personalities will be the leaders initially.
Survivor Island.
Simply because
Oh, last
they're the
week,
loudmouths, everyone has to pay attention to them. They, even if just to watch their back, you have to pay attention to these people. So that's how the leaders emerge right up front. But then there's a shakeout, and it happens maybe anywhere between 6 to 18 months after the platform has sort of become popular. And I agree with you, Raul, that it's going to happen probably by December. It started to happen, this is going back to the unfollow all thing which happened on Twitter. We have some celebrities who were at that time being followed by like 30,000 people, which was huge. Now they're being followed by 300,000 people because of Oprah and Ashton. But they were the acknowledged leaders. They had more people than anyone following them. And I know they were all using TweetDeck and they weren't listening to everyone who was following them. But the etiquette at the time was, if someone followed you and they weren't a spammer, you followed back. It's like someone comes up to you at a conference and shakes your hand. Well, you don't go, goodies. You just shake their hand.
Oh, sometimes I do.
So,
But we love you anyway.
But the
No,
etiquette,
but I guess-
just kind of the etiquette around even just whatever, etiquette also has to do with your business goals, I think, or your personal goals.
Yeah.
Yes.
Depending on who you're trying to attract to you.
Yes.
So then I think it goes back to what you're trying to resonate, and that's again, one person can enter and they want to be like this sort of community development maven and engage everyone and they've got a certain ideal, and there's another person that comes in and their goal is to connect and make new connections to build their business and help other people build their business. Well, that behavior is going to be really different. And I guess what I get at is that neither is right or wrong, it's all about intent or goal. We just have to be, I think, true to it.
But the collective morals, which is the social media platform etiquette, evolved through the struggle for power. Who's going to be? Is it going to be the guy in his mom's basement who really knows his stuff?
But we don't know if he's in his mom's
thought
basement.
leader. Well, if you were on Dig, you would do it as a brand.
Dig's a whole other.
But-
No, Dig's a whole other community though.
But anyway, going
But
back
it's
to the
not right.
unfollow all thing, that was an attempt, while in a
bring
big
back.
time of crisis, to reestablish elites. I'm being followed by 300,000 people, but I'm only following 120. And I used to follow all of those people, but now I've established my difference between them. Because now there are so many would-be celebrities on Twitter that you have to do something to establish a difference.
Yes, but from that, okay, so from that unfollow all, etc. perspective, when I was at Blog World Expo last year in Vegas, I was doing that. I went from follow everybody to screw this, I'm following my friends. And I culled the herd from about, I think I was following 2,000 some odd people, and I backed right off to about 600. Oh my God, did I ever get shit?
Yep.
Yeah.
But everybody,
But now it's because the big
it's,
foots
you know
are
what?
done.
It's not changing.
We're
because
still
every,
complaining about them.
no, we're still complaining about them, but from the Bigfoot perspective, Chris Brogan gave me shit. Jeremy Tanner, who's at Penguin, gave me shit. Your ratio sucks. Your ratio sucks. I'm still getting it to this day that my ratio isn't in balance enough for them to feel like I'm hanging
There's
to
still some tension between the new elites and the people who are old school.
There's your key right there.
That's
There's
where
your
the
key
French
right
Revolution
there.
happens.
So
Right,
it's even
but that
like,
doesn't make it right.
No, that's true. And my point is that etiquette is amoral.
So, okay, where do we take that?
somewhat, yeah, I don't think it's a moral issue, it's a social
It's not a
norm.
moral issue.
But then,
It's
okay,
a
so,
personal norm.
hang on, let's bring this back, because we got,